got your attention. Cool. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't go live with this. I'm sure you were all sitting there anxiously waiting my live feed, but hey, that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Anyway, I wanted to talk about projection today, and projection is part of the topics that are going to be in my book, which will come out hopefully by the end of the year. Fingers crossed, fingers on the keyboards, typing madly and furiously. But one of the topics I want to talk about is projection, and I've got some cool images for you. Projection, guys. So I wanted to take you back to a time and a little story about when I was at my biggest and really suffering with sort of my moods and suffering with how I worked in the workplace. That was the main thing, how my attitude towards work, my attitude towards life in general. I was greeted with a sit-down chat with one of my managers once, who shall remain nameless, just in case they actually watch this video at some point. But the sentence I got given was, "You will never get anywhere being fat." And I didn't know if he meant that literally because I couldn't move very fast, or if what he actually meant by that. And it took me a long time to realize what he was actually saying. And what he was trying to say was that the way I was, and the way that my body was, and the way that I was putting myself out to the world was not going to get me anywhere. But he didn't quite have the right words to phrase it correctly, so it came out the wrong way. And looking inward on that, what did that mean? Okay, never going to get anywhere as a fatty. So you can take the literal meaning of that, and you can take it as an offensive thing, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would claim that as bullying. I kind of took it on the chin and thought, you know what, maybe there's something in this. And what I mean by that is, this is me, this is where I was at, okay? I was unhappy, I was big, I had 3 fingers on each hand and 3 toes on each foot. But I was putting bad food into my body, I was putting bad drink into my body, I was suffering from financial stress, but I was smoking 20 to 30 cigarettes a day. So you kind of have to think to yourself, well, financial stress, smoking, anyway. So that was what was going through into my head every day. I was, into my body, I was putting bad food, and coming out of me was anger, frustration. I was very negative the whole time, and I always had something to say. I would always kick off about something, and I got compared by the same manager actually to Michael Douglas from that movie. I can't even remember what it is. He basically goes crazy and just starts beating people up and stuff. Anyway, that's what I was compared to. So I had this image in my head of myself being this happy, jolly, fat dude, and actually I was probably teetering on the sort of more depressed, angry, and miserable fat dude. So what I wanted to talk about today was the difference between the two characters. Now I'm not as grumpy. I still have my moments, don't you worry about that. But I put good food into my body. I put water into my body, I exercise, I have time for myself. Even though I am quite busy, I always try and find some time for myself in the evenings, if that's turning the phone onto airplane mode and just lying in bed for an hour before I fall asleep, or just spending some time with myself. And what that has equated to is a happier person and a more positive person. We all face setbacks, and I've faced sort of many setbacks, even in this phase of my life, let alone that phase of my life. The difference between the setbacks in this phase of my life compared to that one is that I can manage them better in my mind, so I don't get as down on myself as I used to. And that's down to, like I say, the good food, the water, the exercise, and the time for myself. And I like to think of it in 2 categories if we're thinking about what you can control and what you can't control. And there's lots of things that you can control. In fact, the list is probably greater of what you can control than what you can't control. You can control your nutrition, you can control your job and your social circles. A lot of the time I see a lot of people struggling within a social circle because they see a demand to meet the criteria of their friends, and they might not necessarily be hanging around with the right people in that sense. And I know I was hanging around with good people, they just weren't the right people for the progression that I needed to see in my life. Exercise, rest, influences. Okay guys, we've covered exercise, rest, job, influences, social media, the things that you surround yourself every day, the kinds of books that you read, the movies that you watch, the music that you listen to. If it's all very negative, or if it's very angry, or although it might be a channel for you to relieve some stress, it can also work in the other way, which is not a very good one, and I spent a long time on Facebook unfollowing. At this stage, when I started to change to this stage, I spent a lot of time unfollowing certain people and certain things and certain groups of things because I found it was detrimental to the overall goal of me being healthier and better. Having followed some of them again now, I can completely see how they can work in both avenues. They can be positive and negative. It's just how your mind is positioned at that time, the strength in your mind. And that's determined by those things that you can control. So are you going to put good stuff into your body to get those results? You know, there's external factors that you can't control. You know, your job is one of them as well. You can control your job, but you can't control your job at the same time if you've got a lot of stress from up above, you've got a lot of people putting pressure on you, and you need to make it work. You may love the job you do, but you might find that there's a lot of stress that comes with that. And so that can lead to this scenario happening over here, which we want to try and stay away from. So the question, and it always comes down to this, is about balance. And I always have the yin yang symbol here around my neck, and I always have it somewhere. It doesn't always compute. You get kind of used to this flapping around all the time, but the idea is if I can remind myself at least once a day that balance is key, then I can understand that I'm in a better position to manage my way forward. And I think that that's what I've done a lot better here than I did over there. There was very little balance. There was a lot of negative going on. And so with this, there's more balance. And yeah, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes and I make poor decisions all the time. Don't you worry about that, whether it's driving down the road or whether, you know, it's more serious than that. But at the same time, I try and do the best with what I've got, and I try and maintain that balance for myself, because ultimately, if I'm not happy and if I'm struggling and stressed, that's going to compound things down the line. It's going to affect the people around me as well. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on projection. I think you almost want to project what you can to the world at any given time. And for me, it's always about projecting positivity. Even if it is a low moment or a tough time or anything like that, it's really important to try and focus on those positives. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do, especially if you've been kicked in the nuts. Because you've got to get back up and you've got to try and find a way through. The basic thing is, guys, I'm not here to stand in front of you today to say I'm the perfect individual. I'm not. I have my moments, and low moments are part and parcel of life. But if you can harness the good moments and put good things into your body, you will be in a better position to put that out to the world and to receive it as well. Because if you put stuff out there that's good, you're going to receive good. So that's kind of my thoughts on that today. Can we be more positive? Can we think more positive? How do we use what we put into our bodies, the exercise we do to our bodies, the positive things we do to our bodies to produce that positive result? I've got some resources down here for you guys if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about this kind of stuff. There's my personal coaching and my online coaching, which I do here in Solihull. I do online coaching online, obviously, because it's online. I've got another company which I work in called WeMove, and we will be branching into more mindset videos later on in the next series, which is coming soon, so you better watch out for that one. I've got an Eat Well guide on my website, rawmotionfitness.com/blog. If you sign up to the blog, you'll get my free Eat Well guide. And there is a weekly blog post as well, which will come to you via email. So the weekly blog post is absolutely free. The Eat Well guide is absolutely free. WeMove is a monthly subscription. And the personal coaching, the prices are there for you on the website, so you can have a look at that. I'm just trying to give you some information here that you can take forward with you into your day. But the resources are there if you need extra help. Don't be scared to reach out, pop me a message. I'm happy to reply, guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay positive, stay strong, and keep moving.